Hello everyone, Lady De Winter here today. And today I was going to show you the running stitch that I use to sew my napkins. So here it is. Now this is a little crooked because I've been having trouble setting the camera up and I've had to do several takes now to try to get this thing to work, and it's not working. All you do, and I should have used gray thread, I screwed up there too. It's just been a very bad day, guys. Very bad day. So anyway, you insert your needle, you insert your needle, you pucker it under your fabric there like that, and you pull it through and you get a little bit more needle that you can see, and this is where it gets a little bit tough for me. And then you insert it there. Now, you might want to wear a thimble on this finger, because if you don't, it's going to hurt if you jam this needle up under that fingernail. If you can see my fingernail, you've seen how many times I've done it. So, and then you simply push your needle through. And now I insert a finger here to make sure that my thread doesn't get goofy on me, because it will with this long a thread. They recommend you use smaller amounts of thread, but I don't like to do that because threading a needle for me is a little bit difficult. But there you go again. You insert the needle, and as you can see, it goes through the back there. It goes through the back. I'm hoping you can see that. I don't know if you can. Let me stand up. Can you see that? Probably not. But, and I don't know how to zoom this camera in. My other camera has a zoom for it, but the battery's dead. And yeah, like I said, bad day, guys, bad day. So anyway, you take a little bit of fabric, okay? You insert your needle like so underneath it. You get a little bit of needle there, and you insert it again through the back, and then pull it up. Like I said, get a thimble or you're going to regret. Your fingers are not going to like that. Now, I'm apologizing for the shaking, but that is how you would do that. And then you simply pull it through. Now, this is called the running stitch. You can use a hem stitch if you want to. You can use that if you want to. I don't use a hem stitch because a lot of times they break in the wash on this particular project. Now, a hem stitch is perfect if you want to use it like on pants or something like that. But for this, I find a running stitch works much better. Now, I'm hoping you guys can see that. Yeah, you guys can see that. Okay, down just a little bit. There we go. So, I'm hoping that this video turns out okay. I am shooting with minimal equipment because I bought all this new camera equipment, and unfortunately none of it fits my old tripod or anything else, so I don't have the money to buy a new tripod and all the new equipment that I need. So yeah, it's getting to be a little bit tricky here with all this equipment and stuff that I have, trying to set it up and trying to get it to work right so that I can get out premium shots for y'all. Now, I just shoved this pin here into my finger and it hurt, but I'll get over it. I don't wear thimbles on all my fingers because then I can't sew. I can't use them. I use this one for pushing the needle through when I have to. As you see it the back of the needle backs up against that. Now, if you've ever had the back of this needle go into your finger, you will understand why I now wear that thimble. It hurts worse than the pointy end going in. So, but this is basically, guys, how I sew my napkins. And it doesn't take very long. It takes me, I can whip out a set of napkins in one day. And see, this is why I said about the finger in there. Otherwise, your thread will get all goofy and tangled up and messed up, and I don't like to do that. So, now I do use a kind of a whip stitch hem stitch down here, and I'll show you on the corner. It just holds the corner back in better. Now, you can do this on a sewing machine, and it will probably look a whole lot better than what I'm doing here. Whoops, I'm out of focus again. Sorry, guys. It'll probably look a lot better than what I'm doing here. But the problem with the sewing machine for me is it is very, very heavy. I have to lug it out, set it up. By the time I have it all set up, I'm too exhausted to sew. I'm going to get all the way over here, and then I'm going to show you what I do here. Now, this is where I take the needle all the way through here like so, and I do that. Now, what will happen with it coming through like this, and I'm going to take this pin out now, and what will happen is it's off right there, but that's okay because I'm going to go right here, catch just a little tiny bit of fabric, and put it through there, and you'll see what happens when I do that. Now see, now that corner is tightly down. It is held down by that little stitch right there. I'm going to make another one right here on this little corner, because as these things wash and dry, and this is something I have learned from doing it, these corners will start to come out and just give you all kinds of issues. So now I'm going to put a stitch in here. It doesn't look as pretty. It really doesn't, but I don't really see it. I don't see it on this side. Maybe a little tiny stitch right there, and that's it. That's all you see. So if you do it carefully and thoughtfully, you can get this to work perfectly. Okay, now, and the reason I'm doing it like this is because I'm going to match back up with that line and then go that way. So, and like I said, this is not the best way in the world to do this. It's the way I do it. And it's not the prettiest. But then again, these napkins don't have to be pretty. All we're going to do is wipe our mouths on them. So, yeah. Now I'm going to go this way. One more stitch. I like these corners to be really good and secure so that they don't come apart in the wash machine. I have had so many of these things come apart in the wash machine because of the machine sewing it the way because going through a fold of fabric like this with a needle, a sewing needle, is very difficult. And let me take a minute to show you. Hold on, guys. I'll be right back in frame in just a minute. I did this to a sewing needle, trying to go through too thick of fabric. Now, I don't know why that's not focusing well, but yeah. That is the sewing needle. That is one of my sewing machine needles. As you can see, it goes into a sewing machine. That's the end that goes in. And I did that trying to go through too many folds of fabric to that sewing machine needle. So, yeah, it doesn't work well. It does not work well. So that's another thing. You have to have a needle rated for the kind of fabric you're sewing. And if you're sewing thick folds of fabric, then you got a problem. So now, and I'm going to just take this down like I had before. And I want one more stitch right through there because that is such a pain in the butt little area. There we go. Came out right where I wanted it to. Okay. And all we're going to do is go back down this row like this with the running stitch. Now, there's a host of different stitches you can use. And if you want to get really fancy about it, if you want to get really fancy about it, you can even embroidery this in. I know women who do that. I mean, you know, I don't know that many people who make their own cloth napkins, but I have found that since I've stopped using paper towels, I'm saving about $25 a month. Yeah, 25 bucks a month I was wasting just on paper towels. And so when I went to cloth napkins, I noticed how much fewer paper towels we are using. Don't get me wrong, we still use paper towels. I sop up something, you know, I use them to like wash windows and stuff, you know, certain cleaning tasks and that. But other than that, we don't use that many paper towels anymore. Oops, see, that is another problem that happens with the needles and the pins and all that. But luckily, my seam is, my edge is in good enough that I don't have to really worry about that. So let me see if we're still in frame. Barely. Sorry about that. The camera is way up above me. I mean, it's up above me and looking down on the project. So if I want to see the camera view, I have to actually stand up to see it. I was trying to rig it up with a tripod to see, you know, if I could get a better shot, and it doesn't. So, and that's what I was talking about. See how your thread kind of gets weird there? So if you put your finger in there and pull your thread a little tighter, it doesn't get weird. Now, as I said in my last couple of videos, folks, I'm not a professional. This is just stuff I've learned from years of doing this stuff. Is it the right way to do it? No, probably not. Nobody taught me how to sew. I went to a couple of quilting classes and went from there using YouTube videos and that kind of thing. Now, see, that really could poke through in my finger, which is a very bad idea, but I was talking and not thinking. Sometimes I cannot talk and think at the same time, so you know. Now, if you do get a twist in your thread like that, take your needle, take one of these needles and insert it down here in this little Y. There's like a little Y right there. Insert it in there, and you can straighten out your thread and then pull it taut. Just so you know, that's another little trick that you can use. You can do that with the end of a scissor. Actually, this needle here is perfect for that. It works really good for... Ow, that was a straight pin to the arm, because my arm is actually laying along this edge of the pins. So, but anyway, guys, that's how I sew my napkins. I use just a general running stitch. The basting stitch, if somebody says, oh, that's the basting stitch. No, the basting stitch is much further apart. Very loose, because you're going to take that out. This is the running stitch. And honestly, it's used in quilting a lot too. That's the running stitch. But they make it 3 times smaller. They're like, oh my God, it's so tiny. Like that maybe. And yeah, it comes out really super small. And yeah, well, it comes out about that size right there. And I am, you know, I used to quilt. I hand quilted. My stitching was never that pretty. Never. I've never, but it's a hobby I enjoy. And it doesn't have to be perfect. When you do something that you enjoy, it does not have to be perfect unless you've got like OCD and you can't help it. It has to be perfect. So there you go, guys. That's how I sew. I cut, pin, and sew my dinner napkins. Just 16 by 16 cut pieces of fabric. You can use a fat quarter and boom, you've got yourself a napkin. You can save $25 a month simply by using cloth instead of paper. So, until next time, this is Lady DeWinter reminding you that you're never too old to do anything you put your mind to doing. Bye-bye for now.